Yo, good evening. Happy Monday. It's yet another time for Monday news. However, first, before we go any further, I'll just stick one thing off. Excuse me. Yes. Now, if I may introduce you my regular co-hosts, Stefan, the hedgehog that lives in my watering can here on my desk, and my resident Moomin forefather. There we go, Bertil. Hello. And because it's my birthday, happens to be today, I have Stefan's flowers. Stefan got flowers. Well, me actually, but hey, why not? Because Stefan lives in a watering can. Oh well, anyway. So, and a very special guest that will appear on my channel for the very first time ever, a random visiting guest, shall we, co-host, will be Morran. Hello. So, Bertil is a Moomin forefather, and Morran is another Moomin character. Both originated in the head of Tove Jansson. Tove Jansson, the mother of Moomins. Now, if I happen to get any, shall we say, technical issues, you notice any possible glitches, please do tell me so that I can actually fix it. But okay, now the topic for today, as the topic suggests, it's Sydney protesters protesting against a horrible transphobic piece of shitty legislation that it's still a bill. It hasn't gone through yet. And it won't be because it's not in accordance with the Australian federal constitution. And the Australian federal constitution states that if any state law in this context, in this case, New South Wales, is inconsistent with the federal constitution, the federal constitution will overrule and invalidate the parts of the bill, of the state bill, that is against the federal constitution. But this saga isn't just from May and June of 2021. This starts with the same guy. It starts, the series of news on the same issue starts from May, or the spring of 2019, or what would be spring in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's an ongoing process, and I'll do my best to get you on track with. But I'll first I'll get you through to what I have for you from like here. Do you like my if you like my transition, just let me know. And if you can't hear me, let me know. Okay, anyway, this new piece of legislation. Okay, so anyway, so Sydney protesters march against Mark Latham's transphobic bill. Who is this man? Mark Latham. Mark Latham is a former Labour Party chief of Labour Party. If I understand correctly, it's not on federal level, but on state level in New South Wales. He is the head of the New South Wales One Nation. As I understand it, the One Nation party is one of these religious ultra-conservative parties. So he caused outrage with his when he made a proposal on the Education Legislation Amendment, Parental Rights Bill 2020. Advocates warn Latham's bill, if passed, would ban recognition of trans and gender diverse students at school in the state. Yes, you heard and read it right. On Saturday, June 5th, the crowd of trans rights supporters gathered at the Kill the Bill, quote-unquote, Kill the Bills, the plural referring to other bills this Mark Latham has tried to push forward, shall we say. Teddy Cook from ACON and Peak Trans Health Body OSPATH addressed the rally. Cook, who is a trans man, blasted conservative rhetoric framing gender diversity as a new phenomenon. And he goes on to say, "We've always existed. We see gender diversity in every First Nations culture on the planet." Wow. This is, in fact, correct. I've discussed the topic of there being much more, or many more than just two genders, shall we say, in these indigenous and First Nation cultures around the world. Of course, there has always been gender diversity that is, or rather, the diversity of biological sex, which I will come to in a bit in a short while, because this will also include this topic, or the saga, shall we say, will include the quote-unquote issue of biological sex and the attempt of this guy and his minions to erase these the fact that there is diversity to biological sex. Okay. So, okay. So going on, this includes here in Australia within the longest continuing culture on the planet. I would say, Mr. Cook going on to say, I would say that the rigid gender norms and the binary are the things that's the new fad. Yes, I would definitely agree with Mr. Cook there. Now, here we go. Now that I got you the actual topic at hand, or rather a little tasty bits of what's going on. I'll go to I'll give you a bit of background, and I must say, fair warning, this will I can't stand his ugly face, I'm sorry. This stream will contain talk of transphobia, attempted trans erasure, denial of trans people existing in the first place. This will I will have to mention the violence towards trans people, LGBT people, bodily harm, etc., etc. Anyway, going on. And by the way, this is from qnews.com.au. This is an Australian queer news site. Anyway, and this is the man. This is the man we're talking about, and I would assume this is his wife. Okay, let's go on. One Nation's New South Wales leader Mark Latham has railed against quote-unquote leftist elites. I've heard that. I've heard that one before. Anyway. Echo? Okay. Is it bad? Okay. Alright. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay, is this any better? I surely do hope it got better. Now it has echo to me. Does it have echo to you, ears? I surely hope not. Okay. It's okay now? Excellent. Okay, I just have to get... Okay, I'm truly sorry, people. Okay now, it seems that I managed to mess up the chat as well on the wrong position. Okay, now yeah, okay, there, monitor off. Okay, I think. Okay, whatever. Now, let's go back to the news. I truly hope you like my new transition flames, and I added the snow and ashes. Okay, going on. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'll have to fix. I'm truly sorry that I have to fiddle around when it's live on a live show. Okay. Because me dumb. So, okay, going on. So, this is the first article that I'll be going through, because it's, as I said, this goes back to May of 2019, and so he has railed against this lad. Mark Latham has railed against quote-unquote leftist elites and gender and sexual fluidity in his maiden speech to the New South Wales Parliament. Yeah, I just really don't get this. I mean, okay, whatever. Going on. The former Labour leader is now One Nation's New South Wales leader and was elected to the state's Legislative Assembly in March. Legislative Assembly would be equivalent to a state parliament in the US, if I'm not completely mistaken. Latham used his 45-minute inaugural speech on Wednesday afternoon to declare left-wing quote-unquote cultural invaders had become a quote-unquote curse on Australian society. And he goes on to say they are tolerant of everything except dissenting values and opinions, meaning, of course, they are tolerant of nothing that matters, only themselves, he said. What an absolute hypocrite. An absolute dick. You'll see why I'm saying this when I go forth. And he goes on to say, as follows: this is the leftist curse through the ages, the recurring history of those who sadly crave control over others. They lose control over themselves. Mr. Latham, you just described yourself. I'm not accusing, quote unquote, accusing you of being a leftist, but hey. Anyway, this guy is a dick. Quite frankly. It's something that this is something that I've seen before. That these religious right, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't even have to be religious. There are these absolute like right-wing numbnuts who then go on to say all these yeah, I'm accusing him of being a fucking wanker. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just a fucking wanker. Right-wing wanker. Yeah. Anyway, uh, then going forward with what he was going what his rant was all about. Well, we know what it's all about, but let's see how he proceeds. The new left are the new primitives of our time, junking the importance of evidence, of recorded history, of biological science. This man knows nothing of science. He is so scientifically illiterate. Come on. Especially race, gender, and sexuality can be fluid. Excuse me. To pretend that all parts of our lives, especially race, gender, and sexuality, can be fluid. The color of a person's skin cannot be changed. Oh, well, if you're Michael Jackson, then you can. But hey, he's some sort of a pop Jesus anyway. That everything we know and feel around us is in fact socially constructed. That is wrong in so many ways. Come on, man. Latham singled out the Safe Schools anti-bullying program and inclusion initiatives by like Wear It Purple Day for criticism, and said schools were at risk of becoming quote-unquote gender fluid factories. He goes on to say, our personal characteristics and identities are fixed. No, they aren't. Are not fixed, not fluid. With few exceptions, people are born either male or female. And he accused of leftists or left-wing politicians and people who support them. He accused them of being scientifically illiterate. Yeah, sure. Whatever, man. It's don't really understand why. Don't really understand why these people even bother. Don't really understand why these people even bother. Yeah. What humans are analog, not digital. Well, yeah. One, you can put it that way if you like. Anyway, Yes, we shouldn't be confused. He goes on to rant. We shouldn't be, and I quote, we shouldn't be confusing young people and risking their mental health by pushing gender fluidity upon them. I know someone who talks like this about uh, gender minorities and others. Uh, and I don't talk, I haven't talked. We're not in terms anymore. Yeah, we're not black or white. We shades of gray. Yeah, I mean, what some call white people. Are we white? No, we're pink. Um, so, and, pe- and when people call others black, they aren't black. They are brown, on the brown end of the scale. Okay. He also slammed political correctness, saying he refused to allow his words to be controlled by elites with their confected outrage and PC censorship. This guy is deluded. For fuck's sake, man. Um, Going on, he goes on to say that in truth, in society, offense is taken, not given. Uh, it's it's a personal choice based on assumptions about what someone meant by their words. Yeah, I've seen this kind of rhetoric before. Um, as the great he goes on to go as the great John Cleese has pointed out, telling a joke about someone doesn't mean we hate them. But Israel Folau, who is awaiting sanctions for his inflammatory social media posts, has fallen victim to quote unquote corporate PC elites who want to quote unquote control all aspects of their employees' lives. Uh, I don't. I'm not familiar with the case of Israel Folau, so I cannot. If someone if someone watching either now someone watching live, could someone please enlighten me on this issue. Uh, Going on. Quote, and I quote, he believes, as millions of people have believed for thousands of years, that sinners go to hell. He said, as per his valid religious faith, he loves the sinner but condemns the sin. I. Why is it? Why is it always with these people? Why is it that there's a claim that there's the same, always the same rhetoric? I've heard it from the fundamentalist Christians here in Finland. We have an MP who's a fundamentalist Christian, and she is currently being investigated. She's still an MP as of right now. She was in the previous session. She was the Minister of Interior. So now she's being investigated by the state attorney for what do I call it? It's a racist crime anyway. I'm sorry, I have to Google this. because it's somewhat uh, important to this. Anyway, okay, yeah, incitement against a group of people. So basically, slandering religious minorities, LGBT plus people, etc., etc., immigrants, First Nation people, etc., etc. So she's now, as an MP, she's being investigated by the state attorney. So, and she has this same rhetoric: love the sinner, hate the sin. It's like they're parroting each other, but they. Oh. So, yet his beliefs, his Christianity is not allowed to be. Yet, for his beliefs, his Christianity, he is not allowed to play rugby, to chase pigskins around the park. Had our state and our nation ever come to this? An Australian should be fearful of proclaiming four of the most glorious words of our civilization, which you can see there. No, and goes on to say that no one should be sacked by the employer for statements of genuine belief and faith that have got nothing to do with their job. Yeah, this man just doesn't get it, does he? He just doesn't get it. Going on. This is in May of 2019. Again, for those if you've hopped in right now. So last weekend, Latham told Sky News that he planned to push for new laws in New South Wales to allow businesses to turn away clients seeking goods and services to same-sex weddings. It's not like I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird. Really, really weird. Um, oh, no audio. Okay, is there audio now? Is there Peter? Peter, can you hear audio now? I think I clicked wrong thing. I hope I didn't fuck this up. This good now. Okay, excellent. I yeah. Because I'm stupid and I can't, because as I said last time, the Friday was the I think the Friday was actually first time, or I think it was I think it was on Friday that was first live stream on my channel that went directly from OBS to Streamlabs OBS, to YouTube, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. You're human. I'm human. Yes. Thank you very much, Peter. So this is going forward. Latham said, it was "quote unquote" unfinished business after the legalization of same-sex marriage, and if a Christian baker or dressmaker objected to participating in a same-sex wedding ceremony, they faced prosecution under anti-discrimination laws. Well, they should, you know? If you just pick and choose, if you discriminate someone based on them being gay, and they want to marry someone they love, this business owner should be fined for discrimination. Yes. And he goes on to say that we've got to make sure that the government can never make Christians and other religious people do things that they regard as being morally wrong, he said. We'll set out a program about doing this with freedom and fairness, starting with religious freedom in New South Wales and beyond. There is religious freedom. There's a difference between religious freedom and being an inhumane dickhead. And if you can, in my opinion, you can believe whatever the hell you want, but treat others but you have to treat others with dignity. It's not much to ask, I think. And Mr. Latham, I ask you to treat others with dignity, regardless of their gender or sexual orientation, please. He drew criticism during the election campaign for a number of his policies and comments he made, particularly about transgender people. Latham announced a policy making it harder for trans people to affirm their gender, to stop quote-unquote self-identification as a result of quote-unquote leftist ideology, individual whims, or novelty factors, and was slammed by LGBTIQ advocates for moronic dog whistling. Yeah, it's neither moron. He doesn't understand this just basic human behavior and how to talk to people, especially in public. He apparently doesn't understand how to treat others. If he even treats his own family with dignity. Latham was also criticized ahead of election for suggesting trans people be prevented from transitioning because children were quote-unquote changing their gender every other day, and an evil political program allowing self-identification was the cause of poor mental health outcomes, not transphobia and discrimination. Yeah. How ignorant is that? Children don't change. I've never encountered in my entire life, and I'm in my mid-30s. In my mid-30s already, and I've never encountered anyone, children, teen, or adult, changing their gender every other day. or just all of a sudden if deciding that, okay, I want to change my gender or my biological sex. It doesn't work that way. He doesn't understand it, and he's a dick. During his time as a right-wing commentator, Latham also argued that in 2017 that there were too few same-sex couples to justify marriage equality as a political issue, and said during a postal survey trans people should be excluded from same-sex marriage legislation because he supports quote-unquote supports gay marriage but not state-approved gender fluidity. During the marriage equality campaign, Latham was nominated for tongue-in-cheek Gloria Award for railing against alleged LGBTI reign of terror. In an opinion piece where he said he feared people who did not, quote unquote, he feared people who, and I quote, who did not, and I quote, worship at the altar of homosexuality and gender fluidity would be run out of town. Look. Excuse me, I need some water. This is too thick. Hey, hello. Sorry about that. I had to get water. There. Big water. Piece of water. Piece of water. Piece of water. Give me a piece of water. Okay. That's from Czech Conspiracy Cats. Conspiracy Cats and Simon and Dan. Please go check out. Just shilling them out. So there's this piece of shit. This Latham guy. Okay. This one that I just went through was from May of 2019. Okay, going forward to August 2020, so year and a half forward. There he is. Photo per courtesy of New South Wales Parliament. New South Wales One Nation leader Mark Latham has been slammed for unveiling a bill that would ban any support for transgender students at state's schools. In a speech, he said his bill seeks to outlaw gender fluidity teaching, course development and teacher training. He equated the quote-unquote promotion of gender fluidity with child abuse. How and why? How can that be child abuse? What this man is doing there, that is child. That what Latham is saying is child abuse. That if teachers are teaching the kids and students that that there is gender diversity, teachers will get sacked, and it's child abuse. How the fuck excuse me, how the fuck does that compute? I'm sorry for my foul language. But I'm upset. Because this is so wrong. He goes on to say parents are sick and tired of teachers and school counselors telling their children that gender is a choice. No. Gender is not a choice. Transitioning is a choice. If the kid happens to be gender diverse, this child was born that way. I'm trans. I was born this way. I never chose to be this way. The only option, the only choice I had was to decide whether or not I should transition. And I chose to transition. If I hadn't, I might not be here. This kind of talk. And by the way, the parents he's referring to are he himself and his congregation and he himself, his minions, and the kids in the households of other dicks like him. Excuse me, I need to fix my hat. By the way, the warning, check it out. Anyway, the Mr. Dick goes on to excuse me, Mr. Latham goes on to say, if they can convince young people that things such as family and gender are socially constructed, and that there is some kind of conspiracy to deny them their true identity, then no part of our culture is safe. The Parliament should legislate to defend the family unit and the biological science of gender. Yeah, however, what Mr. Latham calls science of biological sex is not what he thinks it is. It seems as if he has a great misconception of what of what the biological science is. Biological science even a thing? If there are native speakers in the chat, could you please tell me if biological science is actually English? The biological science of something, is it proper? Is it even proper English? because to me it seems as if it's not. But I'm not a native speaker, so if I have native speakers in the chat or comment section, could you please tell me? If he goes on to say, the parliament, parents, not schools, are the teachers of values of their children. Yes, to some extent. But yes, to some extent. But if that means, if that really means that you should be able to raise your child as a to be a bigot, if you want your child to be a giant ass dickhead bigot, that's in my opinion that is child abuse, and that is something that should be intervened with. Anyway, the bill that he put forth in 2020, the bill seeks to amend States Education Act to proclaim gender identity as quote-unquote equivalent of a person's biological sex. Latham then wants to ban the inclusion of anything to do with gender fluidity from all courses in New South Wales schools. Yeah. The bill also prohibits quote-unquote instruction, counseling, and advice on gender fluidity provided to students by counselors, staff, or volunteers at the school. Any teacher violating the ban would then face the sack under Latham's bill. Yeah. Alright. The bill would allow parents to withdraw their children from lessons contradicting their parents' political, social, or personal values. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on. Last week, this was in 2020, last year. Last week, the Upper House referred the bill to a parliamentary committee chaired by Mark Latham himself. Greens MP David Shoebridge, also on the committee, blasted the bill as ridiculous ideological attack. The parliament should work hard to ensure counselling and support is reflective of the needs of students, not to give a platform to an obsessed transphobic bigot. Yeah, he's an obsessed transphobic bigot. But that's not something we already didn't know. Yeah, he's a bigot. Going on. The idea that we should be firing teachers or counselors who support trans and gender diverse children asking for help is obscene, he said. The Parliament should work hard to ensure counselling and the other support is reflective of the needs of students, not to give a platform to an obsessed transphobic bigot. On Monday, Equality Australia wrote to New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian, calling on her government to immediately oppose the bill. CEO Anna Brown said the extremely flawed bill denies the existence of transgender and gender diverse people. It also offensively describes people born with intersex variations as disordered. Yes, Peter goes on to say he should be representing all people, not just his type. Look, Peter, Mr. Latham thinks he's representing all the people. All people. That's what he thinks he's doing. But is he? That's anyone's guess. Yeah. Miss Brown said the bill violates schools' legal obligations to educate students without discrimination. The bill creates an unsafe environment for LGBTIQ students and teachers and children in LGBTIQ families, she said. It prevents teachers from seeking to affirm the right of all children to feel safe at school. Every child deserves a well-rounded education. The bill threatens those values and allows one nation to dictate our school curriculum. Yes. And Mark Latham has targeted transgender community continuously since his election to New South Wales Parliament last March. Yeah. Who's that? This is one very sad individual, this Mr. Mark Latham. And Peter Nuttall says, narrow-minded git. Yeah, there you go. Okay, what we are going towards the end. Anyway, Peter Nuttall goes on to say he is alienating anyone who disagrees with him. Yeah, he cannot yeah, he has already. I wouldn't be surprised if he had any family left. In the sense that he's probably alienated everyone, all family members by now, friends, children, all that. Unless if he has kids, I don't know if he has any, but if he has kids, if they think the same way, which is likely, yeah. Anyway, another going further from February 1st of this year, Mark Latham's education bill is not only anti-trans, it's unconstitutional. This was actually my favorite article of these four that I will present you today. This is my absolute favorite because this guy is getting roasted from above. A parliament inquiry into One Nation New South Wales Upper House MP Mark Latham's anti-trans kids bill opened kids bill opened recently. The inquiry needn't bother. The bill is weird and nasty and would be knocked out of operation by the federal constitution if the New South Wales Parliament was to pass it. What is the anti-trans kid bill about? Latham's education legislation amendment, or parental rights bill 2020, which we went through in these two earlier articles, is all about denying that trans people are real. Latham told Parliament that acknowledging the existence of gender diversity is only one part of quote unquote disease in most Western education systems that he wants to outlaw in New South Wales. This is a dick. What I didn't get earlier, actually, when I was prepping up for this, what I didn't initially realize that he was actually calling gender diversity a disease of the disease of the education system. Okay. Before I went on, I said to my partner and one other person, that this is the hardest topic, or the roughest thing I've ever I've peddled through on my channel, in the history of my channel. And I've had some tough shit. Alright? And Peter Nuttall, I'm glad you found your way to my Discord server. This is really tough for me. I'm sorry. This is the toughest shit I've gone through in this entire. It's been, what is it? 8 months? 8 months now. And 35. It's been 35 shows. It's been many shows, and this has been by far the toughest, because for a number of reasons. I've had over 40 shows. Yeah. I think this is my 32nd no, 41st of 42nd show. 42nd show since the start. And this is the toughest, because there's so much horrible things in many places, and this is just horrible bigotry. If anything, it's bigotry and all kinds of shit. Because it has so many levels. this is so. This goes on to so many levels. It's like an onion. You peel one, and there's more and more and more, and this woo peddling that these dipshits go has taken to be their life's work. Yeah, and whenever it's kids, it always whenever it's education, and or children, it always really gets to me. It's really tough, but this is the toughest so far. Okay. Uh, this so going on to the article here. Um, so the what is it about? Uh, the bill will effectively force all public and private schools alike to deny that trans people exist. It will be unlawful for schools to tell their students that there is a difference between a chromosomal sex on one hand and gender expression on other. Um, Latham told Parliament that it's child abuse to tell students that there's such a difference. That this is why it's hard. That they call okay. Okay. It according to this bill, it will also be unlawful for schools to tell their students that there is any such thing as trans people. The ban applies even if there is a trans kid in the classroom. The bill requires school teachers to tell trans kids to their faces that they don't really exist. If any teacher who contravenes this cruel make-believe rule will be banned from ever teaching again. The bill doesn't just apply to teachers, it applies to school counselors, who will be banned from providing any counseling or advice to students that acknowledges that trans people exist. In other words, this bill bans counselors from providing appropriate care to trans kids. Mark Latham knows better than the medical and psychological experts, apparently. This is all weird and nasty stuff. The parliamentary committee chaired by Latham that is looking at the bill knows that it is weird and nasty. What else could explain the committee changing the normal parliament inquiry process where anyone can put in a written submission? Only people with a special invitation will be allowed to put in a written submission for this inquiry. Everyone else will be restricted from filing in to everyone else will be restricted to filling in an online questionnaire. There is also a huge constitutional problem a huge constitutional problem to this bill. Latham's bill requires schools, teachers, and New South Wales Education Standards Authority, or NESA, to do things that are banned by federal law. How do you figure that, man? The Federal Sex Discrimination Act makes it unlawful for schools to discriminate against a student on grounds of the student's gender identity. The Federal Discrimination Act is binding on New South Wales public schools. And what Latham's Bill does is command schools, teachers, and NISA to discriminate against trans kids. It's impossible for schools, teachers, and NISA to simultaneously obey both Federal Sex Discrimination Act and Latham's Bill. The federal constitution has a rule governing what happens in the situation such as this, where where state law is inconsistent with federal law. Section 9 of the Constitution says, in these cases the federal law shall prevail, and that the state law will, to the extent of the inconsistency, be invalid. In other words, even if the New South Wales Parliament passes Latham's Bill, it will immediately be knocked out of operation by force of the federal constitution. Latham's Bill is effectively dead on arrival, but the fact that the parliamentary inquiry is actually considering whether to force schools to pretend that trans people don't exist must cause an enormous emotional harm to trans students, of trans people. Mark Latham should stop fretting about trans people and start advocating for public schools to be resourced properly so that all kids can have the best possible education. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? What more can I say to this? It's it all these kinds of pathetic excuses for legislation will do, no matter what the outcome is, will cause enormous emotional pain. Now, the article that I started with, I would like to finish it up. Okay, so there's Mr. Cook, from Acon, and speaking, and peak trans health body Ospath, a trans man. So acknowledging Pride Month, Cook paid tribute to Australia's long history for trans advocacy. He said there was still much more work to be done. If you look at Mr. Latham's work, yes. But trans communities are incredible. We're smart, we're creative, we're smart, we're musical, we're hilarious, beautiful. We should be honored, he said. But peer-reviewed research tells us a very different story. The health of trans communities in Australia is in a crisis. We are experiencing distress, suicidality, substance abuse, homelessness, disconnection from family, services culture, and faith. we deal with fear and discrimination at work, in healthcare, and in education. Many trans women also face significant violence, particularly trans women of color. Excuse me. I'll be right back. All right. All right. Let's finish this up. So, Mark Latham's legislation puts trans youth in harm's way. It certainly does. Teddy Cook said to deny the reality is, quote unquote, to say that lives of trans people don't matter. The thing that keeps trans people safe, the thing that keeps trans people safe and strong is really simple. Access to affirmation, access to community, and living free and equal in society. That's it. The education bill would seriously reduce access to these things that keep our trans kids protected and safe. This bill would erase and ban trans kids from educational settings and punish their teachers for providing support. All in the name of parental rights. This bill oppresses and ostracizes trans young people and their families, puts our kids in harm's way at a time when they need to be as protected and affirmed as possible. Protesters also fight. Protesters are also fighting religious freedom amendment bill. Sydney rally was organized by Community Action for Rainbow Rights, CAR, or CARR. The group are also opposing Mark Latham's separate religious discrimination legislation. Latham's proposed amendment to New South Wales Anti-Discrimination Act would unfairly give religious bodies powers to discriminate against employees, customers, and those in their care, CAR say. These bills will empower bigoted minority in Australia to discriminate against LGBTI people, women, and other groups just by saying it's their religious belief. CAR co-convener April Holcomb said, "There is no way we're gonna let this happen." The group have also warned of similar problems with Morrison's government's controversial federal religious discrimination bill. Yeah. On May 26th, the federal Attorney General Michaelia Cash told the Senate she was restarting meetings on the issue after taking over from former Attorney General Christian Porter. people. Just for those, if someone in Australia is in a tough situation, that is the number to call. There, if you need support in Down Under Australia, help is available from QLife on 1-800-184-527. That is 1-800-184-527, or online at QLife.org.au. That is QLife.org.au, or Lifeline on 131114. Kids Helpline, Lifeline 131114. That is 131114. Kids Helpline on 1-800-55-1800. That is 1-800-55-1800. Or beyondblue on 1300-224636. That is 1300-224636. There will be, I will add these numbers to the description box below on YouTube, the YouTube description box down below, and of course on my Discord server, my channel Discord server, there will be there's always there's a resource that I've been actually needing to provide there, and I will do that after this stream. Peter Northall, you're an Aussie. It's quite early morning there, isn't it? It's what is it? It's like 7:20, almost 8:30 or something. 8:30, 9:30, something like that. I have some acquaintances in the go. Yeah, 7:25. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to know there's an Australian viewing at early morning hours. Anyway, what I will be doing is I will be going for tonight. It's well, it's almost midnight, and I have something to do tomorrow morning. But hey, it was nice, even though it was different, as I said. I will do at least twice. I just almost lost it, but hey, that's how that sometimes goes. But hey, so anyway, I'll be going now for tonight. You will see a recorded version of me on Friday for History with Heidi, just simply due to the fact that I'm working the night shift from Thursday to Sunday, so that's why I'll have to do a recorded episode of History with Heidi for this coming Friday. But hopefully I will do my best, and I can surely make it. I can surely make it to Monday as a live show. Anyway, there will be links in the description box below. There will be links to my playlists. There's season 1 and then season 2, which is Monday News. There's going to be a link to the playlist of Friday Facts, which is now discontinued, but everything is still there. And then the first 3 episodes of History with Haiti. I will attempt to make it a premiere the Friday, so I can have, it's gonna be a pre-recorded one, but might be able to chat with you. Chat with those who show up to watch the premiere. Anyway, and then there's the playlist, of course, for History with Haiti live streams. And then there is the playlist for Special Files, which is a new. It's kind of, well, special people, special shows, which don't exactly fit into the other categories. And I will, as I said, I will attach or edit the support numbers for the Australian support numbers for in the YouTube description box. So yes, there are the links to my Discord servers, my channel's Discord server, Hades Corner, and then there's LGBT plus safe space server, which is open to all. Of course, my channel server is open to everyone watching my channel, and otherwise, the LGBT plus server is open to all LGBTQ plus people and our allies and other like-minded people. The invitation links are in the description box. There's also my channel's email address with so send me an email if you like suggestions, ideas, feedback. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Monday News, which ended up being quite a bit longer than I anticipated. But anyway, saying bye from my home studio in Helsinki. Morgon. Bertil, say goodbye. And Hedgehog, living in a watering can, Stefan. We will be going now, and Bertil needs to go to bed. He's just 100 years old. He's just a baby. Okay, I will see you. Recorded me will see you on Friday, and I'll see you live on next week, Monday.